You've heard the buzz. Waking up at 5 a.m. can transform your life and lead you to success. But is it just hype? Or is there real magic in those early hours? Not gonna lie, in the past, I tried multiple times to change my sleeping schedule and start waking up at 5 a.m. And all my attempts led me to feel like this the whole day. Let's start with the first and most obvious question. Is waking up at 5 a.m. a requirement for success? Anecdotally, waking up at 5 a.m. has the potential to change your life for the better. There are some potential ways in which waking up so early can contribute to personal success. I'm using the word potential because I personally think it all depends. Most people who wake up at 5 a.m. say that they wake up so early because they get an early start on the day. When you wake up before everyone else is awake, obviously you're gonna have a lot of quiet time, and also knowing that kind of like the whole city is still asleep. Well, for some people it helps, just like knowing that you're one of the only people who are not asleep right now. This can give you the sense of accomplishment before the day officially begins. Then we have to address productive mornings, because usually most people are extremely productive in the morning. If you wake up at 5 a.m. and you immediately start utilizing your time effectively, like setting up goals and crossing things off your to-do list, obviously you feel productive. Then let's say if you wake up at 10 and you don't have enough time for anything. Usually in the morning, people have more time to stay focused and are willing to dedicate all their energy to be as productive as possible. Now let's move on to reduce distractions. Usually people who wake up at 5 a.m. say that at 5 a.m. it's just not that noisy. There aren't that many cars outside, and for a person like me who lives in Mexico City, it is a big point to consider, because usually if I wake up at around 8-ish, it's pretty bad because the traffic outside is horrible, everyone is honking, and I feel like I should have woken up earlier, like 5 a.m. And consistency. Usually people who wake up at 5 a.m. do it consistently. Every single morning they wake up at around 5 a.m. because it is their routine. It is part of their sleeping schedule. And obviously for our bodies, it is a lot better to have something consistent when it comes to your sleeping schedule. It's better to go to sleep at the same time and wake up at the same time too. But here's a very important question that I was thinking about for a long time before actually filming this video. Is it actually necessary for us to wake up at 5 a.m.? Or can we achieve all of the things mentioned above if we wake up at 9 a.m., let's say? If we're consistent, if we don't feel distracted, if we feel productive, do we actually have to wake up that early? Or 9 a.m. is good too. Of course, I can only share my experience with you and everything I've learned when I was preparing for this video, and you do you make your own choice. But I was reading this book, The 5 a.m. Club, because I guess it's the book that all people read who want to start waking up at 5 a.m. And basically there, the author of the book mentioned a very interesting concept. We all have limited mental capacity or cognitive bandwidth. And throughout the day, we give more and more attention to more and more things, right? You wake up, you make breakfast, you start work, and then you need to clean up, and then you need to make lunch. So you're giving your attention to more and more things. As a result, our bandwidth gets used up by, let's say, lunchtime, and you just cannot concentrate on anything. It's true for me in a certain way, because usually at around 4 p.m. I feel extremely tired and sleepy. Like there is nothing I can do. There's absolutely nothing I can work on. I can't concentrate on a specific thing. And the only thing that really helps me is like going outside, and that's it, and just like forgetting about work. So according to Robin Sharma, the author of the book, if you wake up at 5 a.m., you get this golden opportunity to focus on something when you have a lot of mental capacity, when you're the most energized. The noise of Mexico City. Another interesting thing that I learned from this book is the 20-20-20 formula. If you wake up at 5 a.m. and you just spend an hour or two on social media, well then it doesn't really matter. Like, you're not getting any of the benefits of waking up at 5 a.m. Robin Sharma believes that you need to use the first 20 minutes to move, the second 20 minutes to reflect, and the last 20 minutes to grow. I personally don't wake up at 5 a.m. Right now, I wake up at around 6:30, 7-ish. It's my ideal time. But I use this 20-20-20 formula in a modified way, because every morning when I wake up, I try to go to the gym. That's my, the moving part. But obviously, I spend an hour at the gym instead of just 20 minutes. Then I come back home, I do my morning routine, I journal, so reflection, and then I start growing. Maybe I practice a little bit of Spanish, and then I start working. I know that for me, psychologically, it's just very difficult to wake up at 5 a.m. because here's a little bit of my background. I was born and raised in Russia, but when I was very little, my parents and I used to live in the north of Russia. And to give you a little bit of context, it is almost always dark there. And I was around like 6, 7, 8 when we lived there. And obviously I remember everything. And it was very difficult for me to wake up early every single morning to go to kindergarten and then to go to school. It definitely affected me a lot because I always loved the sun. And living and growing up in the north of Russia, you almost never get enough sunlight. And so because of that, right now, like living in Mexico City, I have a lot of sun, but if I have to wake up when it's still dark outside, I just feel like I'm this child again. Like I have to go to kindergarten again, and it's so dark and it's so cold, and like I don't want to get up. Yeah, so I think for me, a big aspect of waking up at 5 a.m. is the psychological one. I think here in Mexico City, if it would get bright at around like 5 a.m., then maybe I would consider it. But it's still dark. It's still dark at 5 a.m. So I know that I don't really want to do that. And I know that I'm not alone in my struggles. I know that not everyone can wake up so early. Maybe you have like family responsibilities late at night, or maybe school or work or something else. And for you, it's just not feasible. Like you cannot imagine waking up at 5 a.m. So are you never gonna be successful then? Of course not. That's where the book Why We Sleep comes in. And I read this book a few months ago, and this book really allowed me to relax and let it go. The fact that I cannot wake up at 5 a.m. every single morning, and the fact that I don't even want to try, is absolutely okay. One important thing that Matthew Walker, the author of the book, talks about is our chronotypes.
Is there also differences by individuals who prefer morning, night, and then maybe as well in terms of not just the hours of sleep, but the time of the day in which you sleep?
This comes back to a concept biologically well defined called your chronotype. So are you a morning type, evening type, or somewhere in between?
Apparently, our bodies have this natural inclination to go to sleep at a certain time and to wake up at a certain time. And for some people, it might be early in the morning, so you're an early bird. For others, it might be later, so maybe you like staying up late, so you're a night owl. And it's completely normal. I think before reading that book, I would always assume that everyone can be early birds or everyone can be night owls. And maybe that's true, I don't know. But I think for some people, it's just easier to be that way. It comes naturally, right? For me, it comes naturally to go to sleep early. I like to go to sleep by 10 p.m. And for someone else, this might be a little bit crazy because they are used to going to bed, let's say at 2 a.m. And it's absolutely okay, apparently, when it comes to our bodies and like those natural inclinations. I also found this website with different chronotypes because I was just so curious about this topic. And apparently, I'm a bear. So if your chronotype is the bear too, it means that you prefer to wake up around sunrise and go to sleep around sunset. And that is who I am, because I just cannot wake up before sunrise, and when it's already like after sunset, I feel extremely sleepy. I'm not sure how accurate all of those chronotype names are, but you can either be a lion, a bear, a wolf, or a dolphin. So if you are also interested in this topic of sleep, I'm sure you will be able to find an article online or like a quiz, a chronotype quiz, and let me know in the comments which animal you think represents you best. While researching this topic, I learned one very important thing. If you want to be successful, you don't need to wake up at 5 a.m. every single morning. What you actually have to think about is making sure that you don't have sleep deficiency. And to identify if you have sleep deficiency from the book Why We Sleep, you have to look at these 3 things. The first thing is, can you wake up without an alarm? Let's say every morning you want to wake up at 6 a.m. but you actually use an alarm to do that. Maybe it's not the best. The second thing is, do you find yourself rereading things throughout the day? Like you feel like you cannot concentrate because you just feel sleepy and tired. You need to reread your emails and maybe schoolwork. You just cannot concentrate. And third, can you function normally without caffeine? And here, most people are probably gonna say no. But it is so important to understand how your body works without coffee. If you wake up, you feel tired, you drink coffee, you feel better, it doesn't really mean anything, because like we don't actually know if it's okay for you to wake up at 6 or you need to change your sleeping schedule. So I think, again, according to the book Why We Sleep, it's very important to understand how your body works without coffee. I personally don't drink coffee just because my body doesn't feel great when I do. Like my heart starts racing, and that's why I don't drink coffee at all. So I know that in the morning when I wake up, I don't need caffeine to function normally. But I think for me, a big part was also abstaining from alcohol right before going to bed, because that is also not a very good thing. And normally, obviously, people drink alcohol in the evening. And for me, the big part was wine. I would drink wine and then go to bed, and then I'd wake up and I would feel groggy, sleepy, thirsty, like all of the above. What I also try to do right now to feel better when I wake up is, before I go to bed, I try not to be on my phone. I know it's very hard to do. Personally, it's very hard for me to actually be consistent in this, because it's like perfect. My bed is warm, my phone is interesting, and these 2 things are just inseparable. But they should be separated. So ideally, I would leave my phone in the living room, for example, and then I would go to bed and I would just fall asleep. I know that because of like social media and constantly using your phone, you might be like, yeah, but like what do? Do I just lay in bed and that's it? Because I know a lot of people who are just so used to falling asleep while watching something, for example. And in the past, I used to be one of those people. I personally try to make sure I never lie awake in bed for a long time, because I know it's not gonna help me. It's gonna make me very stressed. So usually I try to do something relaxing. Like if I know I just cannot fall asleep, I get out of bed, maybe I sit in like at my desk and I read, let's say. I do something relaxing, like not on my phone, not on my computer. Maybe I draw, or I don't know, whatever it is, but something that is relaxing, something that you know is gonna make you feel sleepy. So I think it's gonna be it for this video. I hope now you understand this concept of being successful and waking up at 5 a.m. a little bit better. I try to always do things that I know work well for my body, and every single book I read on self-improvement, I don't immediately implement all the things, because for example, the book, The 5 a.m. Club, it's interesting, but I know that for me, it's just very hard to wake up at 5 a.m. Maybe it's connected to my childhood. I just cannot. I hate this feeling. But at the same time, I can still implement certain things into my routine. If you like this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. And I'll see you in my next video.